So I've made a bold claim that I can show anyone how to make more money within this video. And I guarantee you within the first 2 minutes, you're going to see loads of value. If you don't, turn it off. If you do, watch till the end because I'm going to have something that's going to impact your business specifically. So first and foremost, let's talk about the 5 pillars of a purpose-driven man. Purpose, power, presence, profit, and play. Now, they all hold equal importance, but for today, we're going to talk about profit. Number 1, I want to grab your attention. Most people are chasing money. Number 2, once you increase this, it pours into everything else. You're able to do more things, have more intention, help more charities, play more with your family. So there's a lot from there. So that's a big reason why to focus on making more money. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you a salesperson? Now, some of you might look up and think, I'm not sure, I don't sell, but I'm a business owner. If you're in business, you're a salesperson. You have a product or a service that you're selling. If you're working for somebody else, you're still selling yourself. You prepared a CV, you want to have the job, you want to get the raise, you want to get the promotion. Now, there's 4 key ways to increase business. And I'm going to talk to you as if you're the business owner. But if you're working for somebody, you've got to think the same way. The minute you think like the business owner and you do things to help boost the business is when you're going to get the promotion and when you're going to get the raise. So there's 4 key ways. Number 1 is obviously get more customers. That's obvious, okay? Number 2 is to increase the frequency of the customer, okay? That means how often they buy with you. Number 3 is the amount they spend. So per purchase, amount per purchase, And then number 4 is extra revenue streams, okay? These are the 4 key ways. Now, all of this is underpinned by psychology. What does that mean? How far can you see is really possible? Let's say, for example, you're making, as a business, $100,000 a month. So 1.2 million a year, as an example. What's holding you trying to 10x your business, going to $10 million a year? So that's going to be the psychology of what you believe is possible. You might think incrementally we need to go from one, if we maintain, at least we're not going down in difficult times. Other companies are, but we're doing okay. Or if you increase by 5 or 10%, you might think you're doing all right. But are you really thinking of how you can grow exponentially? When you start thinking that way, you start to open up these channels in a much bigger way. Most people tend to be chasing this. How do we get extra customers? They're not necessarily looking at how do we increase the frequency, how do we increase the amount per spend, and how do we create extra revenue streams? When you start thinking that way, you grow astronomically. Now, the number 1 limitation on any business is the psychology of the business owner. That's the biggest chokehold in any business. And again, that doesn't mean if you're the actual business owner, you could be an employee and your number 1 limitation on the business of where you can grow is your own mindset of what's possible. Maybe you're doing the minimum because you feel like you're getting paid the minimum. So you don't want to do more, you're not giving more. And the number 1 way to also grow your business within this in the psychology is add more value to the marketplace. When you add more value to the marketplace, the more the marketplace will pay you. So let me give you some actual examples of how this could look. And on different businesses. So I'll give you some obvious ones, okay? Let's start with a personal trainer. And I'm going to go through about 4 or 5 different businesses. So like I promised at the beginning, if you stay to the end, you're probably going to find something that's more relatable to your business. And if you like the content you're getting, please share and comment. So let's take the example of a personal trainer. And let's say he charges $50 per person. And let's say he's got 3 clients per day. So he's making about 150 per day. And let's say he's averaging that out on 6 days a week. That becomes 600 is about $900 a week times 4 equals 3,600 per month. Now, that's probably an average. Maybe a good PT is doing a little bit more. Now, if I said to him or her, do you want more customers? You might say, yeah, I could take 1 or 2 more customers. Then I'm going to get tired. I'm working a few hours and 6 days a week, or I'm traveling. If he's going to different people's houses, or she's going to different people's homes, maybe there's a lot of travel time that's taken up. Frequency of the customers. Maybe this PT has maybe 6 clients in a training twice a week. Maybe he or she can encourage them to do 3, 4, 5 times a week, okay? The amount, if I spoke to most personal trainers, I said, look, do you want to increase your prices? They might be scared they're going to lose their customers. The simple thing you can do in this particular scenario is, once you're at a good level where you're doing okay, but you want to go higher, you increase it for new clients. You honor the existing price, and you could put it up to 60 or 70, so that you start to bring up the value of your client. And then here, number 4 is extra revenue streams. Well, there's a couple of different things you could do here. They could introduce a nutrition program, which is an obvious one, right? They could introduce clothing. They could introduce affiliate commissions for recovery places, saunas, or food companies, or ice baths, or massages, okay? And they could refer people, or rehabilitation. So there's one thing. The other thing is that, look, one-to-one, working one-to-one is draining on your time. One-to-many is a lot more profitable. So the minute you can systemize the business, automate it in some way, whether you leverage apps, online videos, group trainings. So for example, if this person now, they're working 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, maybe they want to launch a group class for just 1 hour, once or twice a week. And then if they could get, hypothetically, let's say they're charging 50 here, they could maybe charge 15 to 20 on a group class. And if they can work to get, let's say, I don't know, 30 people in the group class, you're potentially looking at 30 times 20 equals 600. And that could be another 600 every week. And that 600 every week becomes another 2,400 a month. And that 2,400, to do this, they're only doing it, this is actually based on once a week. That's 1 hour extra per week, okay? Versus the 3 times 6 equals 18 hours here to make nearly the same amount. So I hope that makes sense. So that's one example of a business. And again, I can go into more details. If you wanted a specific help with your business, you can always look at the end of this video and book in a 15-minute discovery call with me or my team. Let's look at another business. Let's look at a contracting business, or any kind of sales business where you have people. So again, let's just say that you're in a contracting business. Contracting. So you have engineers. Now, if I said, can you get more customers? Maybe you go, maybe you can. Maybe you don't have the skills. Maybe you don't have the skills to do the skilled labor to do the work. Maybe you need to look at higher contracts. So again, that could be this thing, amount per contract. But it could be more customers. Okay, so you go, how do I get more customers? The number one thing you want to do here, you need to assess your client base. You need to assess where you are at the minute. You need to look at your current business and say, how much of this is good business and how much of it is bad business? And you might need to sack some of your customers. And let's just say that you've got, and I'm making this up now, 5 clients give you 80% of your business, and 30 clients give you 20% of your business. Your ideal client is living here. Why? Because managing each client account is expensive on your energy resources, on your manpower, on admin. So all of this might be not great business. So you want to identify your top 5 clients, start to make a note of who they are, what industry they're in, what size are they, what are their preferences, why do they use you, etc., etc. And this becomes how you start to market. So eventually you can start to sack these guys or increase the price significantly so it's very profitable, and you start to chase more of these people. And then again, you can do what we call focused marketing. Focused marketing it's different for different industries. Contracting, it might be phone calls, it might be calling the people, it might be going to meetings, it might be going to certain conferences where they are. Other people might use digital marketing. So different things, it could be LinkedIn, stuff like that. Frequency of the customer. So again, simply introducing customer satisfaction forms. So many contracting businesses don't use customer satisfaction forms, so they just do the business and they go about their way, and if the company uses them again, great. Referrals or repeat business is the number one place where you can grow. So that's where you can get frequency of that kind of client. Amount per contract. There's a number of different things you can do here. These two kind of come together, because if you're a contracting business and you're offering one service, if you're offering one service here, then obviously you could offer another service and another service. You could also offer after-sales maintenance or maintenance upkeep and things like that. Now, what most contracting companies do, they contract this out, and you might make an extra, I don't know, 15 to 20% here. Or depending on the size of your business, it might be better to start to employ people that can actually lead this division in your company. And again, I go back to the thing that I said earlier in this video. It's the psychology of the business owner, because things like this can absolutely double your turnover and profit, maybe even treble or quadruple your profit. But are you really seeing the bigger picture, or are you playing small and safe? That's something you need to decide. And again, this will, as I said, this will come under extra revenue streams. Other additional revenue streams are way in which you can service, clean, support, priority maintenance. So many different things you can offer. But remember, the more value you add to the marketplace, the more value they will pay, the more money the marketplace will pay you. And also, there's other things you can do. Introduce better communication to your client, better tracking, better quality controls. The reason why Primark charges $20 a bag and Louis Vuitton charges $2,000 to $20,000 a bag, they both do the same thing, but there's a difference in quality, and that's what somebody's paying for. And then when they get a difference in quality, they get a difference in trust, they're getting different in how they feel about the brand they're using. When you've got your own home or office, do you want to get the cheapest person to do it? Of course, you might want to pay the cheapest money, but if you're scared the walls are going to fall down because they've not done a good job, you're probably going to go to somebody more reputable that you trust, so you know it's going to last. So these are things that you can start to do. This is just a short video, by the way, a relatively short video on how you can increase money. Of course, we can go into branding, which takes you into a whole different conversation. So what other businesses are there? Again, I'm going to go into now sales in another business, but again, it's going to ring true for every single business. It's how organized are you? So you have to take, let's say, another business. Let's say you've got a coaching business, some sort of form of consultancy or coaching. So very similar to the personal training, you can either work one-to-one or one-to-many. Now, the information you've got and the experience you've got is a certain value. Now, if you're on a one-to-one, and I say more customers, maybe you can take more customers, maybe you can't, but there's a limit of the hours in the day that you can work. One-to-many. Obviously, then you can build groups, but it has to make sense. You've got a couple of things you can do. You can work in a group if you want the interaction, or you can work on an automated training system where people go through pre-recorded videos, in which case you can take as many as you want. And then the way to do that is to build, of course, systems. Now, systems, Systemization, in fact, let's do this. Systemization and optimization are the underpinnings of everything I'm talking about. Because even all of this, we can optimize all of these things, and systemizing it helps us optimize it. How do we, let's go with the systemization here first. How we're going to systemize, of course, you're going to pick out the key points that you know are your strengths, or what you're coaching on, or what you've learned over the years, what you're able to help people with. And within the key points, there's going to be some discovery questions that's specific for your customer. So what you want to do is you want to create videos and content, downloadable content, that you can give these to people. And you obviously, let's say up here you're charging, for example, $1,000. Here you might charge for a group price $250. But what that $250 is going to get, that these guys, they might not get the same one-to-one time, but they're also going to get the community aspect as well, okay? So they get a different value, but it's much more affordable. And then you can give them your key points in videos and PDFs, and you can give them questions that make it specific for them, and then you can have a 1 hour a week call that they can ask questions if they're lucky enough to be in that thing. So that's one way of systemizing that. Now, optimizing all of this stuff is understanding how long you spend to do what. And again, it comes down to how big, what do you see as possible in order to optimize? So let's just say you are doing closing calls, okay? So let's just say that you are on your closing calls and you're having 2 per day, right? And out of the 2 per day, which is 10 per week, you're getting 1 new one-to-one client. So maybe we could increase the volume here. Maybe you can take 5 per day if you're organized with your time. Maybe you can even take 10 per day, depending on how long each one takes. Maybe you can look at how long it's taking to do that call. Maybe it's taking 30 minutes to an hour. Maybe you can compress it into 20 minutes, okay? Then that would, of course, per week, that could go to 50. And then if these numbers rang true, you go to 5 new clients, okay? Then again, we go into how you can increase the price and then how you can offer other services. So again, much like the PT, you can, whatever you're promoting, whatever you're teaching, they probably need some form of software or something to buy, and it could be in health, it could be in business, wealth, or something with relationships, the key main topics. Maybe they need to go somewhere to get something. For example, if it's relationships, maybe you do deals with some restaurants or some particular things that they can get. If it's wealth, maybe you do things with some partnerships or affiliate links with finance houses. And of course, if it's health, then you can do links with PT, nutrition, and anything else. And again, it could be business specific. So whatever, even if you're in the construction industry, you can have, again, affiliate links with that. So there's 3 industries that we've gone through. I hope you found this useful. Of course, this is just a generic video, but if anybody was to take on some of these concepts, what you've got to realize again as well, as humans, we get comfortable where we are, okay? We know what we know and we're scared of what we don't know. And it's just like in the gym. When you're in business for yourself, you look in the mirror and you go, you're proud of what you've achieved. And if you've got a level of success, you know that, hey, whatever I've done now has worked. But we all need somebody to stretch us that can see so much further, that can believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. And that's scary for so many people. But there's a reason why a world champion boxer has a coach. He's the world champion. He's the best in the world. But he can't see everything. He's in it. You know, he can't see the forest through the trees. He's in the middle of it. And that's the coach on the outside and can see and guide and advise him. And sometimes when you're in it, you're so caught up in your own stories of what's possible and what's normal and what's expected, you don't even try to go further. And then what you do is you see a competitor or a friend in another industry and they're flying and you go, why not me? The reality is you need to believe in yourself more. You need to stretch your thinking. And most people can 10x their business just by deciding that it's possible. Unfortunately, the majority of business owners, workers are playing so small, they think incremental growth, like going up by 1%, 2% is enough. And the reality now, we're in such a fast-moving marketplace that if you are not constantly striving, you're going to get left behind. Everything in life is either growing or dying. So if you like what you've seen, comment below, follow for more, like my stuff, and you can book a discovery call, 15 minutes for free, and I'll help you in your business 100%.